David J. Pfeiffer here. Let's talk about villains and dark psychology. This is one of my favorite topics to go over because villains are some of the funnest to create for stories, right? Some of the villains I have in the Dark Forever series, like Quentin, very powerful being, Napoleon Savage, Southern guy who his psychology is very interesting too. Same for Jericho, very fascinating psychology. So what makes a villain, right? We talked about that in the last video on Villainy. You know, it's just a matter of perspective because somebody else is always the villain. You're not the villain, the other person is the villain. So what really makes a villain? What is that psychology that makes somebody be the bad guy? Usually it's destruction. They just have an uncanny means to want to destroy things. Is it for pleasure? Is it out of necessity just to survive? If you kill somebody because they caught you doing something that would send you to jail and you kill them, are you a villain? Well, what if they're the bad guy and you're the good guy? What if, reasons are often, the big thing too. Like, you might say, I wouldn't kill anybody, but if somebody was threatening your family and going to torture them, you'd probably kill that person. So, again, it's just a matter of perspective. As far as destruction goes, let's take the Joker. So the Joker is just a bundle of mass chaos, right? He doesn't really have much of a purpose other than just to corrupt, to destroy all that is good, to create chaos, that's where he has his fun, right? And the only reason why he's been alive long enough to be a consistent villain is because the Batman doesn't kill, right? And so any sane person would have killed the Joker a long time ago. But that's his whole thing. So you throw him in jail, he's going to break out and kill another 10,000 people. So his thing is just pure sadistic pleasure in chaos, in ruining people's lives. He loves seeing their reaction. He loves messing with people. He's just chaos. Destruction, corruption. He is infinitely the lack of integrity, right? So if something has integrity, like you're in the Starship Enterprise, Scotty will say something like, "Captain, we cannot take it any longer. The ship has been breached. The integrity of the hull has been compromised, Captain." And so the integrity is just basically something holding something together. It's the completeness and wholeness of a thing. That's integrity. It's not some moral thing. It's just the completeness and integrity of a thing, right? If you tell somebody you're going to be somewhere at a certain time and you're not, you lacked integrity. It's not a morality issue. It's just you were not complete and whole in that moment, right? So integrity is just, is this thing whole or complete? And the Joker is the antithesis of that. So he likes to make everything incomplete. He breaks it down, and gets a lot of pleasure out of breaking down that wholeness. If he saw somebody who was pure and beautiful and good, he'd want to destroy them, right? That's his thing. So what about somebody like Freddy Krueger? Freddy, real bad guy. If you don't know who he is, Freddy, Nightmare on Elm Street. He, very funny character. I grew up watching him, and if you don't know some of his backstory, his mother was a nun. Real quick, his mother was a nun. She worked in an insane asylum, and during Christmas, all the guards were gone, and the crazy people got out, and they raped her, and like 100 of the bad, insane people did. And so she gave birth 9 months later to Freddy Krueger. So he was nuts as it was, but she gave him up for adoption, and he was adopted by a nutbag guy who abused him, and so he wasn't given any breaks there. So he eventually went nuts, killed his dad, and got married, had his own family, but started killing the kids in the neighborhood until he got caught, and during his court trial, due to a technicality, he got let off. So, not wanting justice to bypass them, the town folk, created a mob and went to his house and burned him alive. And so he made a deal with some dream demons to become Freddy Krueger, so he could kill people in their dreams. And so that's who Freddy Krueger is. And so he is a serial killer. He gets sadistic pleasure out of people's pain. He loves messing with people, loves torturing people. How fun is it to torture those high school kids with their dreams? If you've ever watched the Nightmare on Elm Street series, it's some of the most imaginative ways to die you can possibly imagine. I remember being, I don't know how old I was a little kid watching that movie, one of them, I can't remember which one it was, but the girl was talking on the phone, and Freddy Krueger says, "I'm your boyfriend now," and a tongue comes through the phone and licks her. That was awesome. He's the most inventive, hilarious serial killer character, and that's why he's so memorable. But he gets pleasure out of torturing and killing people. And so basically it started off as vengeance against everybody in this town, but he just loves doing it. So what about the villain syndrome from Incredibles? Right? He was a little boy. He tried to help the hero. Through a mishap, the bad guy got away, and so Mr. Incredible was like, "Go home, buddy." And so he was mean to the little kid, and so the little kid changes on a dime and grows up to resent Mr. Incredible and becomes a super villain. But yet the thing is, he's still holding on to wanting to be a hero to the public. And so he wants to destroy all the heroes, and he destroys almost all the heroes, but he still wants to be seen by the public as a hero. And so his whole big goal is to destroy all the supers and save them so that he can be proclaimed a hero, and then make everybody super weapons so everybody can be heroes in the entire world, so then heroes are gone. There's no such thing as heroes anymore. So he wants to destroy the entire image, the entire idea of heroism. So it's very deep psychology. It's very fascinating, and this is the kind of stuff that I lay up at night thinking about, is what drives these people, what drives them. If you look at Napoleon Savage, he is the character in The Dark Forever, Book 2, The Taking. Spoiler alert here. He is driven. He's a doctor. He's Southern. Imagine Matthew McConaughey with longer hair. And so Napoleon Savage, his wife is dead, but he still does everything for her. Everything he does is based on her viewpoint of him. So he kills people. He does all these terrible things based on his dead wife. Very deep psychology there, and it's based on what his mother told him. That if you don't, when he was a child, she said, if you don't have love, then your life is worth nothing. And so her husband beat her, but she stayed, and she said, "Son, if you don't have love, you got nothing. You're worth nothing." And so he took that, embodied it, and is now a psychopath who kills people for his dead wife. So, fascinating psychology. I love the psychology. Quentin in book 1, again, spoiler alert, so if you don't want to know, turn this off now. He is not supposed to exist. He's part of the Forevers, the Forever people, who are these group of people who are not meant to exist in the world. And so he feels slighted by God because of this. Rightly so, right? Oh, who are you going to blame? God. So he wants to get rid of God. He wants to completely erase God from existence. And so how he's trying to do that is very interesting in the book and doable. So, but it's all based on his psychology of hating that grudge. Syndrome has a line in The Incredibles where he has his assistant, I think her name is Mirage, and Mr. Incredible, he gets a hold of her and he says, "Let me go or I'll crush her. I'll snap her spine." And Syndrome goes, "Do it." And then he finally just lets her go, and he can't do it. And he says, "I knew you couldn't do it. Even when you've got nothing to lose, you're weak, and I've outgrown you." And that line, I love that line, "I've outgrown you," because he thinks that the ends justify the means. See, but the thing with being a hero, again, is not about the ends. It's not about the results. It's about the means and who you are getting there. It's about that journey of who you are. If we think it would be easy to just go out and kill all the bad guys, and then we would be, I have nothing but good guys. Maybe you kill yourself because you're kind of walking the gray area. But it's like now only good people. But the fact that you've taken an evil means to accomplish something, a good end or a good result, the energy that does that carries on. And so when you can achieve great results by being heroic, then that's a true hero. Very hard to do, especially when you need good results to happen and you can't kill somebody or whatever. So villainy is just very, very, very deep topic. So I've gone on way too long. So let me ask you, if you were a villain, what would your goal be? Would you try to take over the earth? Would you try to kill everybody on the planet? Get rid of life so that life can start all over again because humans are destroying everything? That's very easy to validate, to justify. What would you do? Would you create a sensor that destroys a certain group of people? Would you not do anything big and grandiose at all? Maybe you don't. Maybe you do something small and kill a certain amount of people. or maybe you do something else to become the villain. What is the nature of your psychosis, right? And why would you become the villain? What in your life would make you become the villain? What is your issue, right? Is there an issue? Is there something that you stand for, but if you pushed it too far, you could become the villain? There is. I guarantee you 100%. Is it what triggers you? What makes you mad? What pisses you off? What do you stand for? If you pushed it further, could you become the villain? Still having those same values. Because you could. That's what fascinates me. And anyway, like I said, I've gone on way too long. Hopefully this is some kind of value for you. I don't know, I'm just kind of riffing here, kind of talking. So we talked about the Joker, Syndrome, and Freddy, and plus Napoleon Savage and Quentin. Maybe I'll talk about some villains again another time, but I'll do a lot more dark psychology stuff, and I have other things in the work too, because I know dark psychology is a popular topic and people like talking about it, because it's one of the reasons I love writing the books, is the whole psychology behind everything. So anyway, thanks for watching. Enjoy your day. Bye-bye.